Morning folks, Brett Harris here, Trophy Tackle Den, Port Elizabeth. Well, this morning we're out in the Gamtoos River. You can probably see from the clouds above me there that we're having a bit of a cold front pull through. This winter we haven't had many cold fronts, but hopefully this one will bring a bit of rain to the Eastern Cape. We need it desperately. As I said, fishing on the Gamtoos River, I got out onto the river nice and early this morning. I was here at about 7 o'clock just after sunrise, and I came upriver because downriver is a bit cold still, and I'm up in the nursery, but catching fish, whether it's bluegill in a bathtub or small fish on the Gamtoos, is still a great morning. I am probably going to go out and fish the push tide down by the mouth a bit later. I think the tide starts pushing, well, it's high tide at 4 o'clock. Beautiful blue cranes just flying overhead. I'm looking forward to a very stunning day. It started off fantastically. Came upriver through a McCarthy's 4-inch jerk minnow for a while and snaggled a little Garrick. Lots of Garrick flashing on the lure, so I decided to throw the Savage Gear jig. Very first cast, got myself a little cobby off the bottom, switched over to the plastic again, another cob, and I followed it up shortly with a little Bartail Flathead. There has been some very big cob up river here, so I'm hoping that as the day warms up and my drift goes down more downriver, I might snaggle one or two of those bigger cob. But the reason that I'm doing this little video is I recently took possession of the new 7-foot Okuma RAW. Right, so a little bit about the tackle that I'm using today. I'm using the new Okuma RAW. It's a 7-foot rod. It comes in a 10 to 30 gram cast weight, so effectively 1 ounce. Now, I've been throwing half-ounce lead heads here with a small McCarthy's 4, and I hope when I get down to the mouth this afternoon on a nice strong push tide, we will be able to throw some bigger plastics and really see what the rod will offer as far as backbone. It has got quite a soft tip, so I'm going to start off with 1 ounce and just see how it handles that a bit later. The rod itself, I had my doubts when I saw it. I'm a bit old school, and I didn't quite take to the flashing, that the bright neon binding on the rod, but it's growing on me. Let's go through the rod. You'll see over here it has a full cork butt, which again I thought would be a little bit off-putting, but it actually is very comfortable and offers quite a lot of grip when fishing. The thing that I was really interested in is this front part of the reel seat. Many of the spinning rods out there end off with a very uncomfortable section here, and this is basically where your forefinger pushes onto the rod when you're jigging lures, and you do that a couple of thousand times a day, and you can end up with a rather large blister on your finger. I've been fishing it now for about 2 hours, and so far no problems whatsoever. It was actually surprisingly comfortable. The rod itself is very recognizable. It comes with all the Okuma branding, the trade name RAW on this rod, and it has all the specifications either side. The bindings themselves are on neon, and it really stands out amongst the rods on the deck. It is a 2-piece, and it has a spigot join as well. The rod itself is a 40-ton Toray carbon, which makes it very light and very crisp in the hand. I think it'll make quite a good bucktailing rod as well. I haven't thrown a bucktail on it yet, but maybe down by the mouth we'll do a couple of Garrick as the tide pushes. Let's see how the day progresses. I'll do a few stops every now and then, and I'll fill the rest of the spaces with catches. Right, let's get it back in the water. I'm fishing a McCarthy's 4-inch jerk shad on a rather large hook. I'm fishing a Trophy Tails half-ounce head, and I think that's a 3 or 4 mustard hook that I mold into them. I'm fishing in about 2.5 to 3 meters of water, so I'm working the lure pretty slowly. I've been managing to get quite a few bumps from Garrick. I know that if I switch over to a bucktail or continue with the jig, I'll probably catch quite a few juvenile Garrick. But the cob have been absolutely wild up here. Small to large, but big shoals of large cob have been seen and reported by various anglers. They're not on the bite, but as a fisherman, I'm always hopeful let's get a cast in, see if we can snaggle another cobby. Right, we up Gamtoos River. I'm just opposite the pack houses. So it's about 15 k's upriver, another 5 k's upriver in that direction you'll get the Lurie Bridge, and then later on the potato fields and the Rooivalle. I'm fishing this section over here, which is about 2.5 meters where I'm parked with the boat. And the river makes a bend here, and I always fish on the outside of a bend, folks. The river is scoured by the water on the outside of a bend, so you'll find the shallower water, in this instance, up on this bank over here, and on the furthest bank, on the opposite bank, is obviously the deeper water. And what I like doing is the tide is outgoing now, so I'm slowly drifting down with the tide. This little stretch here has been quite productive for me. On the previous drift I got 2 little cobbies and a Bartail Flathead. I've just come upriver now. I was just around that corner, down that furthest corner, and I've just slowly motored up so as not to disturb the fish, and I'm going to start another drift, see if I can pick up another small cobby or two. And I'll do this for most of the dropping tide, go home and have some lunch, and then I'll be back on the river, but down by the mouth for the push tide. We're just a little bit after spring, and I'm hoping that some bigger cob will start coming up through the mouth on the push tide. Let's get to do some fishing. Right guys, it's Sunday afternoon now, Saturday afternoon. I hope to fish down by the mouth, but the wind and the rain, it had other ideas. But it's Sunday. I came upriver this morning, spent the day right up at the Rooivalle, got a few nice fish up that side. I'm just making my way back down to Kingsway now, and then I'm going to take the boat out of the water and call it quits for the weekend. Stopped at one of my favorite spots on the way down, had a couple of throws with my mermaid's tail, the 6-inch mermaid's tail. Luck was had it, first cast on the spot, got a nice little cobby just to close off the weekend. Just to talk about the rod that I've been using the whole weekend, I showed you guys a bit earlier the new Okuma RAW Helios 30 15-pound HMP braid. What a pleasure it's been fishing with this setup. The rod handled itself fantastically. Unfortunately, I didn't get any big fish to really give it a good test on. Oops. But what can I say? For the price value, Okuma's really come to the party again, and I want to thank the guys for convincing me up at the trade show to take this rod, and it'll definitely become part of my arsenal going forward. Just to show you what I've got in this scoop net here, a nice little cob to end off the day. Right guys, and there she is, nice little cobby, caught upriver on the mermaid's tail, down the hatch, half-ounce keel trophy tails with a 3/0 mustard hook. Nice little cobby. Unfortunately, I left my tag kit at home, but let's get the hook out and let's do a live release on camera. Guys, important to let these breeding stocks go. Our cob, as you know, are threatened. Right guys, so I'm fishing on a bend of the river. I'm fishing from the shallow side to the deeper side. Now the deeper side is always on the scoured outside of the river. So, you know, if it were morning, I'd be casting from the deeper side onto the shallow side and letting my lure come off the drop-off. But it is a pushing tide. There's a lot of little moonies and things doing a lot of activity on the scouring side, which runs at about 3 meters. The boat where I'm sitting now is in about 1.5 meters. So I'm casting right up against the reed bank, letting the lure drop into that deeper 3-meter channel, and then working it back towards the boat. So far, all the cob I've picked up have been right up against the reed bank, where those moonies and small garrick are busy feeding as well. Let's get a cast in. Hopefully I can pick up another cob before it's home time. Once your lure hits the water, just give it about a 3 second. There it is, it's touched bottom. And just a short poke on the rod, just to bring it up that little 1/2 meter. Cob rarely feed more than a 1/2 meter to a meter off the bottom. So the idea is just to get that lure bouncing around. The tail of the mermaid's tail will do all the business in for you. Let's see what happens. I'll make a few more casts. I have signed off on my video, but as a fisherman, I realize that these cob are on the bite and I'm here to stay for a short while, maybe till dark o'clock. Let's see what happens. Well, as fishermen go, I had to make a few more casts. I know I signed off on the last video, but one cast became 3, became 4, and exactly 4 casts later, another nice fish. Let me just put this beautiful rod down, get the scoop net up, and the cob just get bigger and bigger. Again, my mermaid's tail 6-inch, trophy tackled in 1/2 ounce lead head with a 3/0 mustard hook. There she is. Nice beautiful cob, caught upriver on Gamtoos. By all reports there's been some monstrous cob up here, but I'm having a hard time finding them. This is normally my nursery, but I'll take those any day. The Okuma RAW 1 ounce rod did its thing. Had this guy to the boat in no time at all. Mermaid's tail, not down the hatch, but squarely in the scissors. Let's get this puppy back. I wish I could have tagged the fish I've caught. I've caught some lovely fish this weekend. But anyways, let's get this thing back in the water.